In this great land called America, there can be no higher calling than that of a judge, taking the lives, the livelihoods, and the very futures of your fellow man right into your own hands. Only the cream of the human crop need apply. Just kidding. Judges are greedy, self-serving morons just like the rest of us. Tonight, 3 horrible judges get deep fat fried.
Deep fat fried!
I love it. I got my gavel out for this one.
Oh, yeah. So. Strike that gavel, TJ.
You know what, Scotty? I'm gonna let you have the gavel because you got to bet you're in a better place for it.
Can you bring TJ to order for me anytime he's?
You're on the line, sir.
So this might be like way in the past, but we did a Flash Fried recently where we covered a shitty judge, and that inspired this episode.
Yeah, I remember that. It was
God.
What was that guy?
The Kyle Rittenhouse judge.
Yeah, it was the Kyle Rittenhouse judge. And all the Kyle Rittenhouse fanboys showed up. Like,
it's like, get out of here.
Fucking Jesus.
And I was just like, maybe there's a few more of these. And I was like, whoa, I could make a fucking ongoing series about judges.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
Unfortunately, our first judge tonight shares my first name. This is Judge Paul Hawks.
Yeah. Usually Pauls are pretty good, you know.
I agree.
I found that historically Pauls usually are pretty fucking impressive people, but I guess sometimes, there's always got to be.
He's a judge, but he's just not a great judge, you know.
Right. So. I guess he's still accomplished a lot, but he's just a piece of shit, huh?
He didn't accomplish great things.
So what's so bad about this guy?
Back in the 2010s, there was a budget crunches all over the country for municipal staff and stuff, and other courts across the country. They were laying off staff and cutting corners on building maintenance and shit. Judge Hawks and some of his friends apparently decided they didn't have enough to do, and they took on this little project. They would come up with this absurdly lavish courthouse building, probably the most absurdly lavish courthouse building ever conceived, and they'd trick the state into forking over nearly $50 million to pay for it. So... this sounds absurd, but there's not a whole ton of information about this because this happened back in 2011 or 2012. It's kind of been scrubbed out of history, and now it's just this is the courthouse. But this courthouse is a fucking boondoggle. It included a completely pointless, massive glass dome over the main courtroom, granite desks and countertops. 60-inch flat screen televisions for all 15 of the judges' chambers. Spacious private kitchen for everybody, a gym, and yes, completely soundproof bathrooms so that the judges could fart and snort coke in peace, I guess, and not be overheard.
I love it, dude. And they actually built it.
And they built it.
What the fuck, dude?
Oh, man.
They built it.
Wow. That's beautiful.
And I see a glass dome over the courthouse, symbolizing how much of taxpayer money we wasted.
They have their own... they don't even have one big, nice, common kitchen. They each have their own private kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
They have a giant
little
gym.
Suite. They all have a giant gym that they share. They have a suite. Basically, each justice has their own little apartment in this thing.
Yeah.
And they're lavish apartments all in the back. And then the front, it's very hard to find pictures from the inside of this courthouse. I guess it's probably not kosher to. But
most people are not in fucking social media mode when they're in the courthouse. But
and this story is no longer a hot topic. People have just kind of accepted that, this is the courthouse now. I guess.
What are you going to do? You've built a $50 million courthouse with all these fucking crazy amenities and shit. What are you going to do? Tear it down because it's a scam? I don't know.
You really can't. So how did he pull off this scam? Here's the allegation.
All right.
He forced the removal of a state employee who questioned the project, and he destroyed documents related to the cost of the new courthouse, as well as documents related to the selection of the architect and the contractor. So
basically, any document he didn't like, he just shredded. He's just like, this is inconvenient. This is not good. I don't like this one.
And anybody like adjacent to him that wasn't like that, like went, should we really be spending like $10 million on granite?
Get out.
Get out. You're fired. Go.
Done.
And then the next person who thinks to ask that is like, I don't want to lose my job.
Yeah, granite sounds nice.
Marble, okay.
Italian marble, why not?
So he, I guess he bribed some people. He got a furniture vendor to provide a free trip to Indiana and Kentucky that would include a day at the Churchill Downs racetrack for himself, his brother, and a son. He used a court employee in 2006 to help his son Jeremiah, who was a general counsel for House Speaker Marco Rubio, write a legal brief.
Rubio.
So he has his son. He gets his court employee to help his son write a legal brief in an appeal of a lawsuit filed over legal fees charged by lawyers defending death row inmates. After Hawk's own court referred the case to the Supreme Court, the judge used his law clerk, Renee Hill, to help his son prepare a brief for the higher court. So it's like conflict of interest shit. He's just basically like abusing his power in every way that he possibly could.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Right. Well, I mean, he's just going around getting leverage on people, getting fucking the right dirt in the right places, firing anyone who fucking he can fire, shredding any document that gets in the way. This dude just aggressively pursued this project with the like full fucking weight and power of his fucking obviously pretty considerable intellect to manage this.
Let's be honest, the local government here definitely supported this because it's like, hey, we're going to build a fucking expensive new courthouse.
Sure.
I mean, dude,
endless kickbacks.
Think about how many fucking palms were greased in
That's
this
what I mean.
process.
Yeah,
right?
so it's like
fucking local contractors ate on this fucking job for months.
Oh, God.
So there was at some point, there's like so many people fucking that rely on this fucking thing that, you know, anybody who questions it is being fucking pushed aside. All of the powerful people, they're either on board with it because they're corrupt or they owe this guy some kind of favor because he did some fucking backhanded shit for them.
So not only did he help his son with the brief to the higher court in defiance of, you know, conflict of interests because it was his court that, you know, tried the case.
Yeah.
It actually worked. And in September 2008, the Supreme Court overruled the legislature. So they actually won the case, probably in large part due to the fact that the brief that was prepared had full access to all the case notes and a person that actually worked on the case to whoopsie daisy. He was also accused of using a, quote, coercive and intimidating leadership style, which may in itself not necessarily be a bad thing. Some leaders got to be strong and bullish, but he also usurped the budget duties of several court employees. He was just like, I'm taking that. I do the budget now. I write the budget now. And then there's the matter of the rent on this place. $1.7 million of rent a year, to be exact, which is exactly $1.7 million more than the old rent-free courthouse was. Built on municipal land and baked into the budget, so they're not paying rent. This actually is on, I guess, privately owned land. So some palms were probably greased to get that done too. I guess it's a public building on privately owned, like with a privately owned lien on it. So they have to pay $1.7 million a year to keep the courthouse there in perpetuity, by the way, because like you can't pick this up and move it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, they could probably use eminent domain and just take the land, but
yeah, maybe.
But hey, I got some good news for you guys at the end of all this. I got some great news at the end of all this. So an investigation into Judge Hawk's activities by the State Judicial Qualifications Commission found that as the pressure on him mounted, he ordered a sheriff's deputy to destroy a filing cabinet filled with incriminating documents. And even though he vigorously denied any wrongdoing on his part regarding the, quote, Taj Mahal scandal, that's what locals called this, the Taj Mahal, because of it, just a giant,
so
ostentatious. He strategically resigned just a few weeks shy of an impending ethics hearing and was never followed up on and lived out his life.
Yeah. How convenient.
There you go. There's your happy ending. Nothing ever happened to him. He just kind of like was like, oh shit, I'm gonna get caught fucking around. Well, I duly resign this bench position. This is a piece of shit. So here's a couple of pictures from inside this absurd place, this rotunda with
What the fuck, dude? This is for a courthouse?
It's got millions of dollars of African mahogany in it. It's got millions of dollars
Opulent.
of granite and marble. Just like domes. There's like an absurd, like 2 or 3 domes on this thing. You can't really see it from the front.
This is supposed to be like the fucking. This reminds me of like the fucking Pantheon or something.
Well,
it's
the
like
thing
they spent so much money on this building.
Yeah, but like the crazy thing to me, the craziest part of this fucking thing is like what you can't even see. The fucking opulent judge quarters with the, add-on kitchens and like, I mean, it's basically like each one of them has like a little fucking apartment in this place.
Think about the message this sends to people. Most people in the criminal justice system that are coming before these judges are poor people.
Dude,
you know it because they can't afford a legal defense, and they literally walk into like basically a building built on money taken from taxpayers for this opulent building that is costing the government more money in the long run because this guy basically was involved in this scam on just a local level where it's like, yeah, it's going to be good for everyone to build this courthouse. Let's get it built. Well, if it's going to be built, it might as well be luxurious. I mean, that's probably how they got this judge on board to do this. Like, I can do whatever I want.
So
yeah, do whatever you want.
It's so fucking gaudy looking too. It's just like if you showed me this picture right here and you told me like, yeah, this is inside the Venetian in Vegas, or this is inside Caesar's Palace in Vegas, or whatever. This is like one of the little shopping areas in Caesar's Palace. I'd be like, yep.
Yeah, exactly.
Totally right. Sure is.
It does look like that.
So let's move on to another judge, a judge that found a different way to be on the take. This here is the Honorable Judge Thomas J. Maloney.
Hey, this guy's got my name.
Tom.
First one was named after you. This guy's named after me. Is the next one Scott?
There's no Scotty judges, dude.
Yeah, there are definitely no Scott judges. Scots are too smart to get caught in this grift.
They don't fuck this. They don't fuck with this shit.
So Thomas J. Maloney was a judge in Cook County, Illinois, from 1977 to 1991. Maloney and numerous fellow Cook County judges with a focus of an investigation named Operation Greylord. Pretty cool name. Like made me think of comic books or something for some reason. Probably made the FBI think of comic books too, because they were the one that named the operation. It was a joint investigation by the FBI, IRS, USPS, and the Illinois State Police to try and track down corrupt judges. So, like many of the public officials that were, well, like all of them on our list tonight, Maloney had an interesting way of doling out sentences, especially in high-profile murder cases. I guess not all of them have the same way of doing it. In exchange for rigging murder cases, Maloney got over $100,000 in bribes. We're talking like, back in the 70s and 80s and shit. So
that's quite a bit of money, yeah.
In addition to his, probably quite lordly monthly take as a high-ranking judge, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Maloney let mafia members, murderers, and gangsters walk free as long as he got his fee.
Ooh.
So this is just basically a judge that is corrupt in the most obvious and predictable way that you could possibly think of. Like, you would think like shit like this just couldn't happen because there are so many people watchdogging this shit. But no, his whole thing was like he had a middleman. And if somebody wanted a deal, they went to this guy and they were like, look, we want this fucking court case to swing this way. We want a not guilty, or we want a fucking whatever. We want you to do what you can to maneuver this case. He'd give them a price. They'd pay the middleman. The middleman would take his cut and give the rest to the judge. That's how they just ran it for years. You know what I mean? It was just basically like fucking like verdicts for sale here.
I mean, of course. I mean, and like, and you see why. He's extorting people with a lot of money. Like, okay, give me $100,000, yeah. And you got a guy that gets his cut. But I mean, this guy's pocketing tons for a judge. Man, that's living large.
Yep. So the first bribe charged in the indictment occurred in May 1981. So he'd probably been doing this for years at this point. This is just the first time they caught him. Attorney Robert Cooley was contacted by First Ward Alderman Fred Rote and Ward Secretary Pat Marcy to represent Lenny Chow, who is a hitman for the On Leong crime organization. It's the On Leong Chinese Merchants Association. Kind of like I don't know. It's a Chinese mafia kind of thing based around like union labor in New York, but involved in a lot more than just labor, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
I looked into them. I didn't want to cover them too heavily in this episode, but I'd never heard of them before. So this guy, Lenny Chow, and two others were charged with attempted murder for shooting William Chin in Chicago's Chinatown. An On Leong representative, William Moy, told Cooley he wanted a guaranteed not guilty on this one. The case was, luckily for him, I guess, before Judge No Baloney Maloney here. And Marcy assured Cooley that the judge could be bought, but warned him that Judge Maloney wants a lot of money for this one. This is a high-profile kind of like mob hit case. You're going to have to pay me a lot. Moy agreed to pay $100,000, a portion of which Marcy gave to Maloney as part of the fix. The victim of this died, however, and the charges were elevated to murder. Despite this, Marcy was able to get Judge Maloney to allow the prior bond to stand as long as a friend of Judge Maloney joined as co-counsel.
Oh, God. Yeah, they're just bilking him.
At trial, Judge Maloney admitted a dying declaration, but found it unreliable, thus acquitting the defendants. Tapes of a conversation between Cooley and Marcy made after the Cooley became an informant confirmed the existence of this fix. So the government just went on and kept finding these instances. Sometimes Judge Maloney would get somewhere between like $2,000 and $2,500 for his, participation in this. I mean, it wasn't like he was taking huge chunks of money every time.
But I mean, like he'd fix a small thing for like a few grand. You wanted a big thing fixed, cost you like $100,000,
Yep.
And you just get whatever verdict you want. Just pay for play fucking verdicts, right?
Yep. So another attorney in 1980, William Sueno, who represented Wilfredo Rosario in a double murder case before Judge Maloney. The critical evidence against Rosario was his confession. So Sueno was discussing this case with Lucius Robinson. Robinson indicated he could arrange a fix with Judge Maloney for somewhere between $2,000 and $2,500. Doubtful, Sueno asked a personal meeting be arranged, and at this brief meeting outside his chambers, Judge Maloney just told Sueno, "Robinson is my guy, deal with him." Whereupon, in Maloney's presence, Sueno allegedly handed Robinson a white envelope with a portion of the bribe. In 1981, Judge Maloney suppressed the confession and found Rosario not guilty.
Damn. So wait, he covered up a whole ass murder for just like $2,000. He's just like, yeah, all right.
Look, you ain't rich. Yeah, all right. I'll take $2,500 from you.
Yeah, it's like he didn't even charge $100,000 for that one. He's just like, there's not really anyone paying attention to this case.
Yeah, this confession was clearly made under duress. It is not admissible in court. Whatever other evidence do you have? Nothing, Judge. Not guilty. He's free to go.
During a plea conference, Maloney sentenced another guy to probation with work release on Sundays and Mondays. This is another murder case that was bought for about $5,000 or so.
Yeah, look, Judge, I'm really sorry I killed him, but here's $5,000 in a white envelope. Well, you know what? I don't know what happened.
It was also said that a few days later, while riding along with Judge Maloney at the judge's elevator, Maloney gave him $200 to $300 for his work as a bagman on the case. So he was like, just like in the courthouse, doling out his like, "Oh, good work on that. Here you go. Flip, 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 flip. Here's your bribe."
In the fucking elevator, just like, "Oh yeah, good job, thanks. Here's your little tip for you.
The next thing is like the actual FBI kind of wrap up of Operation Greylord. I thought it was pretty interesting.
Yeah.
So on March 15, 1984, a federal courtroom in Chicago, a jury found Harold Kahn guilty on all 4 counts of accepting bribes to be passed to Cook County, Illinois judge as payment for fixing tickets. The evidence been caught live on FBI tapes. This bagman had been deputy traffic court clerk in the Cook County judicial system and was the first defendant to be found guilty in a mammoth sting investigation of crooked officials in the Cook County courts. It's called Operation Greylord, named after the curly wigs worn by British judges. And in the end, through undercover operations that used honest and very courageous judges and lawyers posing as crooked ones. So they actually got, I guess, some judges that they knew were trustworthy in on this.
No. They just fucking found a few of the crooked ones and said, "Hey, we'll act like you're clean if you fucking flip."
Yeah, you're gonna fucking flip. Yeah,
you're probably right.
Flipping. Yep.
And with the strong assistance of the Cook County Court and local police, 92 officials were indicted, including 17 judges, 48 lawyers, 8 policemen, 10 deputy sheriffs, 8 court officials, and 1 state legislature.
The whole fucking system.
Pretty much.
From top to fucking bottom.
Yep. Everyone's gonna play. Well, that's how a scam works. It's like, it's like, you see a movie, like, I think it's Lord of War, and it's like, what happens if someone figures out the scam? It's like, we just cut them in. That's all this is. You just cut someone into the scam. It's like the sheriff's deputies get their cut, the judge gets his cut. I mean, everyone has to get a cut.
My dad had been arrested for, like tax evasion and mail fraud and whatever the fuck else, someone came to him because it was like around the time Bill Clinton was leaving office, and someone came to him and was like, "Hey, I'm a friend of Bill Clinton's, and $500,000, and you might see your way to a pardon."
You just my dad didn't have it, right?
Well, all of my dad's assets were frozen by the fucking IRS, FBI, so he couldn't do it. But yeah,
he didn't have nothing stashed over in fucking like Barbados or nothing.
I'm just saying, like, even at the level of like the president of the United States, you can just pay for a fucking pardon me, I'm an innocent. Here you go. Here's $500,000 for you.
Yeah, you pay enough. You pay enough.
So it's like, this is not some fucking, we fucking took on the corruption in Cook County. It's like, this goes to the very top. It's fucking complete, the whole system from fucking top to bottom.
For sure.
You're fucking kidding yourself if you think it's like limited to this or whatever.
It's all about this, like everything else in this country.
Well, I actually found this final judge that we're going to look at, it's not necessarily all about the money for her. Like, judges can be self-serving in a myriad of different ways, and this is a judge that wasn't necessarily on the take, but definitely misused her position. This is Judge Carol Feinman from New York City.
I'm going to call this one Scotty, since the first two are named after us.
Judge Scotty Feinman.
Judge Carol Feinman had a pretty comfortable job in the New York Civil Court in Brooklyn until duty called, and she was assigned to help out with the heavy backlog of criminal cases in the Bronx. For whatever reason, Feinman was not pleased with this move, which most judges would have considered a promotion. Maybe she thought the quality of life in her new neighborhood wasn't as good as Brooklyn. Naturally, she decided to deal with this by intentionally making the Bronx more dangerous than it was before she got there.
Bravo.
Okay.
So, since asking her bosses to send her back to a cushier post would not look very good, I guess, Feinman took a more subtle route. She set out to prove that she sucked at her new job way more than anyone on the entire planet could ever have fucking imagined somebody could suck at their job. Unfortunately, said job was being a criminal judge, and as such, her plan involved letting dangerous criminals go free with increasingly ridiculous excuses and rulings. In one case, she released a self-professed career criminal after he left traces of DNA on a church safe he had robbed because she claimed he was too clever to be caught. In her own words, I think his past history would indicate that if he were to commit a burglary, he would be smart enough to wear gloves.
Yeah, case dismissed.
Dismissed. Let him go.
Oh, yes. I mean, look, honestly, you mock this judge, but that's sound logic right there.
This man would wear gloves.
This man is a career criminal. He is a mastermind. If he was to do this operation, he would have worn gloves. Therefore, there's no way we'd find his fingerprints there. Therefore, innocent.
Totally and completely innocent. She had a whole laundry list of these. This one, you guys aren't even going to fucking believe this one.
Please.
This one takes the fucking taco. Without looking.
What?
Without looking,
I'm not gonna look.
I want you. Okay, so I'll tell you kind of what was. So I'll tell you what was at stake, and I want you to try and think of the most absurd ruling that you can think of on this one.
All right,
okay,
gotcha. I'm gonna do it.
Okay, so he was this victim. Let's see. Hold on one. I got to figure out how to couch this here.
Okay,
without revealing what goes on. So this criminal tries to rob a person. The person wrestles with the criminal and manages to get the gun away from him. The criminal runs away and the cops catch him. Okay. So what do you think could be the most absurd reason to dismiss that case outright?
So the criminal tries to rob someone
at gunpoint.
At gunpoint, that person manages to scrabble with him and knock the gun away. He runs off, and the cops see it happen, and they pull him over and fucking.
The victim is actually the criminal.
You're not far from it.
I don't know.
Worse than that, actually.
It's because him getting his ass kicked by the victim was punishment enough.
Nope. I mean, you guys are both on the right track, but it's actually worse than that.
All right. I'm looking forward to hearing this.
So Judge Feinman is hearing this case. She took one look at the victim and decided he did not look badass enough to overpower his attacker, setting the criminal free on those grounds.
What?
So she essentially
you look like a little wussy. I can't. I'm sorry.
She essentially in court called the victim of a crime a pussy and a liar, and then let the criminal go.
You overpowered him? I don't think so. Innocent. Next case.
Oh, man.
Judge, it's guilty or not guilty, not innocent.
They found your DNA at the crime scene?
You're too
no
smart.
way. You don't want gloves. Next case.
The man she released, by the way, less than a month earlier, had been arrested for weapons possession and had a long list of prior arrests for gang violence, drugs, robbery, theft. So it's like that doesn't mean just because I'm not saying he's immediately guilty, but to throw it out by going like, no, you're too big of a pussy to take a gun from this guy. Case dismissed.
We're done here.
That's ridiculous.
Beyond ridiculous. It's just like the absurdity of her position.
She said the victim looked like too much of a pussy to overpower the criminal.
Right.
So, yeah.
Let the criminal go.
Yeah. You know that gang violence and stuff? Yeah, you gang? Oh, you look like a sweetheart. You're a sweetheart. Get out of here, you sweet little so-and-so.
Got another picture of Judge Feinman here. This is the New York Post caught this little moment on camera.
She looks like a fucking, like if there was like a Gaddafi candle and it melted like halfway down.
Oh, what the fuck, dude?
You're kind of right.
She's a melted Gaddafi wax figure, dude.
Yeah, dude. So, people started catching on to these more and more absurd things and she started to get media attention for it. And
like the Armand White of judges.
Yeah. And so the New York Post photographer was outside of her building and he snapped this shot as she was saying, quote, "Get the fuck away from me or I'm calling the police." I just thought that, yep, that's exactly what she's saying. I believe the paparazzo on this one. Feinman's negligence eventually got the attention of her superior. So once again, at least we get a fucking happy ending on this.
Right.
At least this one ends with like, oh my God, somebody fucking defrocked this person and now she's homeless, living under a bridge or in prison.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Her life destroyed.
Superiors. What'd they do?
I'm assuming that's not how it went out.
No, they punished her. They punished her severely.
What they do.
As punishment for doing the exact opposite of her job, they gave her exactly what she wanted. She was quietly transferred back to her old position in the Brooklyn Civil Court. And a move that another Bronx detective described as good news for the Bronx and bad news for the people of Brooklyn. So, yeah. She basically threw a massive temper tantrum to get her job back. And then they just like, all right, here, take it. Yeah. She went from like a civil judge to like a criminal judge. And like most judges see that as because it's a bump up. Like if you're a criminal and they needed help. And so like all the other judges that were called to do this were like, fuck yeah, man. Career going up.
You want me to do it where? The
she
Bronx?
Was just like, fuck you.
Criminal judge in the Bronx. Okay. I'm going to show you how good I am at that then.
And I actually looked into it because I was curious. And you will be happy to know that Judge Carol Feinman is still sitting on the civil court in fucking.
And someone's going to be in her court tomorrow ruling. He's like, yeah.
Oh, man.
You murdered your family with an axe, you say? You don't look strong enough to wield an axe. You're free to go.
Axe murderer, you're not.
I don't buy you as the axe murderer type. Go on, you. Get out of my court.
Get out of my sight, you. And so that's 3 pretty fucking shitty justices or judges.
Yeah.
I say justices because I was going to say, if people like this one enough, I'll do Supreme Court justices.
Hell yeah.
I omitted them from this one because I wanted to find the dirt that like more people maybe don't know about. But hell, dude, I found so many Supreme Court justices that have been dirty, crooked, backwards, or all.
Because they come under the most fucking scrutiny of any fucking judge because of their position.
Of
course.
Like,
even if we find out a bunch of horrible shit about them, we still just approve them anyway. So it's like, what does it even matter?
That was awful. You're still approved.
So
he raped like several women. Yeah. Anyway, he's fine.
Yeah.
With some bad
Go
judges.
on in there. Go be the most powerful man in the country real quick. Love it.
See you next time. No malarkey, Jack. Back in my day, we didn't have any entertainment at all, except for the old Scranton Village Elder. He only had 2 teeth. But that guy had a million stories. I ain't joking, Fat. We'd sit in the cold every night to hear him tell the tale of the cat he ate once. Nowadays, what with the mobile pages and the web phones and Netscapes and whatnot, it's hard to figure out what even to watch. Most days I'll just surf AOL. Lost, Jack. How do I click off the page? Why are there so many browsers open? It's all too goddamn much if you ask me. Now listen, Fat, I've got your solution. It's called the Pessimist Productions Patreon. You can click the link below and bam, all the entertainment you need, Jack. It's like Willy Wink, you know, the chocolate factory thing. Hundreds of exclusive shows. I ain't kidding. Exclusive streams, more news. You can't go wrong. So cancel that AOL. Join the Pessimist Productions Patreon now. Don't wait, or you'll be sorry, Jack.